This is looking pretty good so far, and if I go to one of these show pages, it looks like it's working just fine. There we go. But actually, what's going on is it's simply showing whatever this last thing in the URL is. So if I try to go to /waffles, it's going to show me waffles, even though there isn't a waffles product anywhere in my database, as we can see here. That's because what this is actually doing, what the show controller is actually doing, is it's just saying that this product that we're passing into the view is just whatever state params happens to be. And state params is an object representing all the different variables that are in the URL. So when I go to /products/waffles, what it does is state params becomes an object that contains one property, name, with a value of waffles. I'll show you. Down here, I will console.log state params. And if I go to product 3, I can see name product 3. If I go to waffles, I can see name waffles. And that's not what I want. That's all very well, but I actually want to get something from the database. So that's what we're going to need to change. So what I'm going to do is, instead of state params, because we're getting things from the database, I'll need to inject the product factory in here. And then I'm going to use ngResources.get method. And then I'm going to pass state params into it. And then when I get a response, I'll say that I'll just console log the response. And that should work fine. Okay, but there's one more thing I need to do. So the API, or rather Angular, is going to try to load everything from this URL, /API/products. Right now, there's no way of telling the API which product we want to look at. We want to be able to look up a product by its name, so we need to tell the API how we're doing that. So I'm going to use the same convention that I have up here. I'm going to put in /name right here. So this is pretty good. The only problem is there isn't anything on the Express side to receive this request. So Angular is going to try to get something from /API/products/ whatever the name is, but there isn't anything in Express defined for that yet. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go over here and create a new get root. And then I'm going to put rec_res in here. And now I'm just going to say res json foo bar. And we'll see what this does. This should be enough just to make sure this thing works. So if I refresh this page, I'm probably going to get, there we go, foo bar. So that's exactly what I got back from the database. So this is pretty good. I can see that Express is trying to get something back from the database. Similarly, if I do something like name rec_params.name, rec_params is the equivalent of state params just in Express. It's an object representing all the different URLs all the different parameters that are inside the URL, where a parameter is really just anything with a colon at the beginning of it. So if I refresh this, I can see that I'm getting waffles back from Express. And so this is a step in the right direction, but again, there aren't any waffles in my database. Right now it's just sort of parroting back the name that I'm trying to get. So let me change this so it actually gets something from the database. I'm going to say product.find1. So before we used find, which always returns an array, or that is a collection, even if there's only one thing that it finds. So even if the database just had one product in it, it would still return an array. That array would just contain one thing. And we don't want an array, we want one single object here. So I'm going to use find1. And then I'm going to pass into find1 rec_params. So remember, rec_params is an object that is name and then whatever the name happens to be. So it's going to look for a product that has the name of whatever this is. So it'll find it, and then it'll return one product, and it'll render it as JSON. And that should be enough. Let's find out. So for this guy, it should show me nothing because waffles isn't in the database. But if I go back to the index and then I load up product 3, now it successfully shows me product 3. And because I'm console logging the response, I can see the ID and everything else about the product down here. I don't actually need that console log, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And this is perfectly adequate right here. I'm going to refresh this page, and it still gets it. So that's pretty good, but it would be nice if this show page did something a little bit different if a product couldn't be found. So let me change this up a little bit. So I'll do div data ngIf pshowvm.product. So this is going to happen only if a product exists. Then we'll do another one for if the product does not exist. That's what the exclamation mark is for. And if it doesn't exist, I'm going to show this product does not exist. And let's see how that goes. So things should still work fine on this page. But if I go to waffles, now I get, well, something still shows up. So let's see why that is. I'm going to take a look at what this product is. And I can see that it's still something. So even if nothing comes back from the database, it still gives me this empty object right here. And that empty object, that's still considered to be something. So it still thinks that the product exists. So instead, I'm going to say if the product has a name, then show the product's information. But if the product does not have a name, then show that product doesn't exist. And now I get that product does not exist, whereas if I go to product 2, I get showing product 2. And there we go. I'm just going to change this so it's a little bit less redundant. I get showing product 2. There we go. So that's good enough for a commit. I'm going to add commit, and I'm going to call this can get a single product from the database.